Hey everybody, it's Lucas from Pint Pals Podcast, and this week I am joined by...
Nate. I didn't know how to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Nate.
And we have a special guest this week. We are joined by Dan from Outerbelt Brewing. How you doing, Dan?
Good, yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Really do appreciate it, and really do appreciate you hooking us up with a 4-pack.
Yeah, no worries.
You want to tell us just a little bit about Outerbelt Brewing, like how you got started, what got you into it?
Sure, yeah. So I'm the head brewer and director of operations there. We opened our doors in June of 2019. And it was a labor of love for about 5 of us for about 2 years before. It was kind of a long wind-up period, but we eventually got there. So we kind of a team that's kind of been professionals in the brewing industry in some sort of another in the Central Ohio area, and I found some investment family basically that wanted to open a brewery, and I said I was pretty much only interested in a production brewery, so I didn't want to do a brew pub type setting anymore. And they showed me this ginormous building that we had to spend a lot of effort to clean up, but made it our own, and that's where we are now.
Awesome. I was there. Oh, go ahead, Nate.
Oh, I was gonna say, so the no brew pub setting. So do you guys just strictly just make the beer there and distribute it, or do you also have like a bar as well?
Yeah, great question. So yes, we have a bar. We are building our own kitchen as well, so we will have at some point, I can't promise when, but we will have a full service. You'd be able to come in and have dinner, and if some liquor regulations ever ease up in Ohio, we'll be able to serve liquor, wine, and cider too. That's kind of an issue in our geographic location more than anything, but yeah, of course you can. We have a large tap room, and it's definitely one that's easy to social distance in, and our staff is very well trained for all the COVID protocols and everything. What I really mean by production brewery versus brew pub, brew pubs are primarily served on premise, right? So they primarily brew for just their 4 walls, and sometimes it's a full service restaurant, sometimes a little bit less than that. But what I was referring to is more of exactly, brewing for canning or packaging of some sort for wider distribution.
Gotcha. You have to have a separate license for liquor, beer, and wine.
You do. So
didn't know that.
Yeah, the Ohio stuff without I could go in ad nauseum on this, but basically brewers in Ohio have to get a secondary license, so they can serve their own beer up to a ridiculous quantity that doesn't really mean anything on their own premise. But if they want to serve liquor, wine, or cider, or mead, because the state considers cider and mead both a wine, you have to basically get an add-on license. And then there are still dry areas in Ohio that prevent some of or all of those things from happening.
Ciders are considered a wine. That's interesting. So
yeah, because it's fruit-based
beer,
sugar. Yeah, so they look at it where the sugar comes from, right? So technically a seltzer, it's a malt beverage, but it's closer to a beer because the sugar comes from grain, right? Versus a cider or a mead. Cider gets all their sugar from fruit, so they consider it in the same category as wine.
Well, Lucas, we're gonna need to change the name of our podcast to Beer and Wine because we've done a few ciders here. In the eyes of Ohio, we're doing it wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's like when we were in college, Nate. You couldn't get certain beverages at the one bar in town on Sunday.
I just figured that's because it was just the town, and or not town, it was a village.
That's true. That's true.
Uh,
Do we want to do we want
well,
to
do you
go
want to get
ahead?
started?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna move on to Route 33 Pale Ale. Dan, what do you want to tell us about this?
Yeah, this is actually a relatively new beer for us, something we've been working on for a while, to kind of round out our kind of year-round lineup. So this joins Gravel Donuts, which we'll get to later, our hazy IPA or New England IPA, and then we have a pale lager, a glass down lager, and then kind of a bigger IPA, 7%, Outerbelt IPA that we're already in kind of our core lineup, and we kind of want something a little bit more crushable, a little bit easier to drink, maybe more than one of, sort of thing. So um, very much a classic pale ale, more of a West Coast style for sure. Um, Definitely using some newer hops, so it's not all just a Cascade Bomb like some of those older pale ales. Even though I do love some Sierra Nevada pale ale. It's not as one dimensional in my opinion. Um, and yeah, so this is kind of a new thing for us. So we still happily make clear beer. This is one of the intentionally clear beers. And yeah, lots of Mosaic and Cascade and Columbus hops in this one.
I
Awesome.
love the color of it.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say you talk
It
about a
looks, it
clear
looks a lot
beer.
darker. It looks a lot darker in yours, but
Oh,
yeah, it's
looks
it's
better on
nice. Now,
yours. My
I don't
lighting
know. I don't
is
know if Lucas told you about our podcast here, but Lucas knows a lot more about craft beer or beers in general
well,
than I
that's
do. I'm still very new to the whole craft beer community. So, could you tell me, like, just pale ale? What defines a pale ale?
Yeah, so at one point it would have had a very like hard to find style, but as Americans have kind of bastardized everything, it's kind of more of a gray area. But to me, pale ales are sweeter, definitely a little bit more fuller bodied, and maybe a little bit toned down on bitterness and hops compared to like a more traditional IPA. But like I said, there's some occasionally, like at Great American Beer Fest or World Beer Cup or something like that, we'll see a medal winner in the IPA category, and it's someone's pale ale, or vice versa sometimes, right? And it's kind of um, I kind of view them as IPA's kind of cousin. I don't like to say
Okay,
little brother because I think it's very similar ingredients, just kind of reorganized a bit. So
gotcha.
definitely more malt forward, should have more of a malt should be more of a defining characteristic to it than an IPA in my opinion.
and Nate, what is malt? This is one of the first things that you learned.
It's the heart of the beer.
There it is.
Back to day one. Oh, you want to dive into this?
Oh, absolutely.
Usually, you already drink before I do, so.
This is
Got a really
this is
interesting taste.
quite refreshing. I would say that. This is very light, very easy drinking, but the hop profiles are there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this has been something we've been working on
Mm-hmm.
for a while, and one of the big things is getting the right to me, like dryness rate of in a pale ale. We didn't want it to be sweet, again, like the point of this beer is to be able to split a 4-pack with your buddy, or something like that, have more than one of, kind
Oh,
of be more
definitely.
sessionable than some of our other beers. And um some of them, and kind of trying other market examples, even though they were like maybe great for 4 ounces or 6 ounces or whatever. um I don't know if I could drink 2 pints of them. They just didn't have like that crisp finish. So that was one of the big working moving targets for us on developing this beer.
No, I definitely think you guys hit the nail on the head there with this one. What did you say the ABV was for this?
So
6%.
right on 6.
I mean, that's honestly in my book, if I'm looking to have, you know, like especially like watching a football game or something with your buddies. I mean, the 6.5 is what I try to go for, and this is
Good range.
yeah, yeah. This is clean, crisp,
You were
but
right about the hops. Not overwhelming.
yeah, but
Great.
easy drinking. Even though I mean, it does have that drier taste to it, which I personally I do enjoy. It almost like the West Coast style, like you said.
Now, what defines the West Coast?
Typically just drier and more bitter.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes you can kind of get some maybe like mineral flavor, like water mineral flavor, to
Mhm.
kind of pop out a bit more. It used to be again maybe 10 years ago a bit better to find because the East Coast guys were making like these big sweet
Juice bombs.
you know, yeah, not even before the juice bombs, like the old school IPAs, like the Harpoon IPA and the Shipyard IPA, and those
Gotcha.
sort of things were like, I mean, they're like eating a bowl of cereal almost. They were so sweet. And then on the West Coast, you had Stone and Sierra Nevada making these, I think beers more akin to this, and so that the West Coast kind of hung around a lot longer. Those beers. Now the East Coast kind of gets defined by newer beers that. Are definitely a newer phenomenon. But the West Coast is definitely like clear, dry, bitter are kind of the big definitions to me, at least.
I'm trying to think of what other pale ales have we had, Lucas, on this podcast? Can you think of any? That's fine. I don't want to put you on the spot there. I'm just trying to think, in comparison to anything I've had before, because I don't think I've had a lot of pale ales that I can really think of.
Yeah, no, actually, a lot of breweries have shied away from them because Sierra Nevada and Stone were so dominating of the style that was really hard to get a shelf, in a grocery store or a bottle shop or whatever of pale ale, right? If you only had so many spots for different styles of beer, and you're a shop owner and you're just like, I'm gonna have one pale ale. It's gonna be Sierra Nevada, right?
Hmm.
But I think in the last 6-8 years or so, even the big grocery stores have just way opened up their craft section, and I think, in my opinion, not enough regional production breweries have jumped back onto the pale ale style.
Maybe I have had Sierra Nevada.
I mean, you probably have. I mean, it's
I, I know I can imagine their logo and the outside of the can and everything from them. Just trying to think about it, but yeah, I think in a nice like friend gathering setting, this would go really well.
I mean, for a perfect tailgating beer, yeah, this is what I would go for, but can't tailgate anymore.
Yeah. You can from across the parking lot, but
Yeah. Do a quick FaceTime.
yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Are you ready to give this a rating, Nate?
I think so. Yeah. So here on the podcast we go by we just actually learned today, Dan just confirmed finally how we pronounce this. And we're no longer going with the post system, we're going with the Prost system, as the R is not silent. But on the podcast we use the Prost system, which is an acronym that stands for P is our lowest rating, which means probably won't drink again. R is regrettable. O is optimistic. S is satisfactory, and T is terrific. Yeah, what do you think, Lucas? How you seeing this on the scale?
On the scale, I'm gonna give this an S. It checks all of the little boxes for me for a pale ale. I do get that malty taste to it, and the hops aren't overwhelming by any means. It's crisp, easy drinking. I mean, and that I'm just enjoying this beer. It's not like a palate wrecker by any means, and it's something I would pair well with football, honestly.
Okay. I think I don't think, just personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the dryness, but I do like the non-overwhelming of the hops. I do like the aftertaste of the hops as well. Um, it doesn't leave a bad taste in my mouth. It just leaves just a really favorable taste. Um, I'm gonna go with an S. It's kind of a lower S in my mind here because maybe it's just preference on the dryness. I would say, but I think I'll go with an S, just a low S.
Dan, how would you rate your beer?
Oh man. I worked for a guy at one point that said he loved all his children equally, so I'm gonna go with that. And uh, no, I've been drinking a lot of this lately. Like I said, it is a newer beer of ours, and it is intentionally uh, something we do at Outerbelt is we do make over the top beers every now and then, but a lot of our normal stuff is exactly that. It's supposed to be clean and easy to consume and kind of I think about some of these beers with consuming a meal with them, and you don't want to like have something absolutely ridiculous to overpower whatever you're eating or what have
Absolutely.
you. So yeah, I mean, this is it's an American pale ale. It's kind of brewed to be a bit more mild. So for me, I think I'm in the same ballpark as you guys. I mean, it's not a beer I would send to all over the country, being like, "You gotta try this," whatever. I love it for for what we brewed it for, and it's definitely something I've consumed my fair share of so far.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. Just one more thing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I keep thinking about that smashability that we learned about.
Oh yeah.
And
Who taught you
like,
that?
and anyway, yeah. Oh man. But like, yeah, I think like this is the reason I'm giving it an S and not an O is because I think I could definitely drink a lot of these and have like enjoy the whole time I'm drinking them. Like I know there's a lot of beers I could maybe just stomach one or maybe two, but this one I feel like I could definitely get like three or four easily and just have a really good time. So that's why it's also sticking in my S category as well.
All
All
right.
right, we'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, definitely. All right, for our second beer here, we have Morning Commute Coffee Brown Ale. On the side here, it says it's nutty, malty with a dash of vanilla and a huge coffee aroma from locally roasted beans from the well in Lancaster, Ohio. Oh, okay, nice.
You guys are just on the outside of Lancaster,
Yeah, so
right?
we're just on the northwest side of Lancaster, because Lancaster, not Lancaster.
Oh, sorry.
And no, you're fine. Um, uh, and yeah, the Well is a relatively new kind of cafe coffee shop, and we early in our days before we had a building really to work at, to meet at, before we had any finished offices or anything, we kind of had a lot of meetings at this place, and we realized they roasted their own coffee there, and since then they've upgraded their roasting capabilities, and we started buying some of their whole beans that we chuck in the fermenter, and that's how we make this beer.
So is this considered a collaboration between you two, or did you guys have full say in
Kind of.
everything?
I mean, the label and the artwork is certainly a nod to them, but they are certainly a vendor of the coffee we use as an ingredient,
Gotcha.
but certainly trying to circle in that Lancaster crowd. Like I said, we are on the northwest side, so we're a bit out of town for some folks, and um, trying to make some connections with uh, drag some of those folks that work or live more in the city center of Lancaster up to our location.
I just want to say that I poured this beer, and my whole space here now just smells like coffee, and I love that.
Yeah, so this is uh we're one of our principles is we don't stop trying to make all of our stuff better, right? And
Hmm.
this is a good testament of that. Looking through if I did look through my notes of how we have made this beer in the past, we've tried everything, and I think we finally got there in some ways. So we're pretty happy with how this has been turning out lately. So it's a dark brown, dark English brown ale. Really is kind of the backbone of the beer, and then any of those subtle malt flavors we totally just pile drive with coffee, and we do add a little bit of vanilla just to kind of smooth out. Our experience has been if with carbonated beer. The coffee flavors just kind of get a little harsh, maybe a little bit too I don't want to say acrid, but kind of too um, unbalanced. Maybe maybe a little bit difficult to drink. So we had thrown some vanilla just to kind of smooth out the beer and kind of meld it together a bit better.
I used to when I first started getting into craft beer. I would go to different places and I would try a little bit of everything. And brown ales are one style that I couldn't stand when I first got into craft beer, but now I can't get enough of them.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love my double and my triple IPAs. I love having them from time to time, and I love my bourbon barrel aged stouts with a whole bunch of adjuncts or just a Russian Imperial stout. I love those, but I don't know. Just the brown ale, it's it's easier to taste those adjuncts, and because it's not competing with the roastiness of the stout. It's just more mild, and I've been excited for this one. When I saw that it was in the 4 pack, I was like, "Ooh, brown ale! I can't wait to have that."
Are brown ales another one of those ones that are just not as common to see?
yeah, I think so. I
For
I think it's
yeah.
as we are Americans, right? We take everything to the extreme, and I think brown ales are one of those things that's really difficult to put a whole lot more flavor into it without them not being good, right? So, um, and this is a beer that was kind of one of our core, maybe not like a year-round beer, but like this is a beer that we've picked out from the very beginning of building the company. Of we want to do a new twist on an old style, right? And um, if we just had like just a normal brown ale, it wouldn't sell very well. Frankly, it's because it's coffee and vanilla. It's not just kind of a tired old dog, right? And so I think it's yeah, brown ales just kind of got left by the wayside by kind of some of those beers that Lucas talked about, like those imperial stouts and those barrel aged beers and double IPAs and stuff. Like they all have so much more flavor than a normal American or British brown ale. Um, and if you're going to the bar and you want a beer, you're gonna get one with more flavor or less flavor, right? And that's kind of um, the path of a lot of how American craft beer has gone. Is we don't have a very deep tradition in any of the stuff we're brewing right now, right? So it's more about how do we make this better, and how do we make this taste better. And brown ales are one of those things that's it's been a super hard nut to crack for most breweries.
Well, I'm excited. I love coffee, so
You
So
ready?
Great. That's actually super divisive. A lot of people like we've had a shocking amount of people that say they don't like coffee. It's like, oh, okay, don't drink this
Really?
beer then. Yeah.
Has this changed it for them?
We generally just tell people not to drink it 'cause
Oh,
our
you tell people
experiences.
not to drink it.
Yeah, our
Okay, I thought you
experiences.
said you give it to.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense then. Yeah, Lucas, I'm good to
All
good to
right.
dive in here.
It is a good it is a good thing you tell people who don't like coffee to not drink
Oh yeah,
this.
there's coffee in there. Yeah.
This
It's
is
not quite to the point of cold brew, but it's not millions of miles off. So,
No, but honestly, if I were drinking this, if for some reason I had this and then I had my cold brew sitting there, I might have a little trouble distinguishing the difference because this is good.
mm-hmm. I am getting a little bit of that sweetness on the back end. I'll say that, but this is I take my coffee almost black. I'll say that. I put just a little bit of creamer in
Same
it,
here.
and that's honestly I put creamer in it just to cool it down faster.
Are you? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm the same. I'm the same way. Uh, are you getting the nutty taste at all?
I'll get back to you on that. This coffee though is just
I got some of the vanilla, but I wasn't sure if you were tasting the nutty flavor.
I'm not getting the nutty flavor too much, but that's totally fine with me. I'm getting just black coffee with
Coffee.
just
Yeah.
with just a pleasant sweetness at the end. And honestly, the name of it, this is I need to come by
Like
and get more of this. I know that. But this is the name of the
Like I
beer,
said,
Morning
yeah,
Commute, that nails it for me. Bravo, sir. Honestly, for this brown ale, it is.
thank you. Thank you.
It's very it's
Yeah, I
it's
mean-
mild. It doesn't have that like that. It has strong coffee flavor. Oh, man, I don't know how to describe this. I'm like
You don't. I mean, you don't get the alcohol sense. Is that what you're trying to say? 'Cause, I mean, that's how I feel. Like I feel like I'm simply just drinking coffee. I don't feel like I said I could accidentally make the accident of accidentally drinking this instead of my actual coffee because
Mhm.
I'm not. There is just a slightly afterwards is what would be the tell, but
It's oh man, I'm having the toughest time describing this, but I've got like a paragraph in my head, but it's just not making its way down. Um, I'm
do you have
getting
a long commute to work, Lucas?
I'm
the morning?
I'm unemployed right now, so I wake up and get out of bed.
That can be a long journey though.
My commute is from my bed over to this room and then here. So yeah.
That's fair. I'm getting I'm getting just straight coffee, which I enjoy, but it's not overwhelming like a coffee stout, and it doesn't have that like heavy. It's not bogging me down.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense? Like when I have
Yeah.
stouts, it feels like some of them. It's just like I'm swallowing just heavy.
Orange stout's normally thicker though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they're normally thicker, so I think that might be the aspect of it.
Yeah, and
You know,
again,
I'm
I
not
mean, this
understand.
this jives with everything else I got you guys, and just kind of our ethos in general is just you know, we make beer for people to drink, right? We don't
Mhm.
of course we have fun and make those crazy beers, those double dry hop beers, or those we do have some we just blended some barrels this week too for a huge imperial stout or whatever. So of course we have fun with that stuff, but you know, the core of what we make, what we're trying to make lots of, are beers like this. It's just like
Mhm.
again, a beer you can have two of, right? If certainly if you like coffee on this one, but
Mhm.
Well, this one's definitely a winner for me.
Oh yeah.
so far. I'm really liking this.
Are you ready to move on to the rating, Nate?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. So for me, I'm gonna go with terrific.
I
I
am
really like it.
I am also
I
gonna go
really
with
like it.
terrific. I
Yeah,
think I'm in the
I'm
same
trying
boat.
to think of all the other. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like all the other coffee things that we've had, coffee related things we've had, and this one really just sticks out as just like being coffee. You know, it's. I know some of the other ones have had other stuff mixed in with it, but
Mm-hmm.
this one just sticks out as just bold coffee, and I like it.
All right, we ready to move on to the next one here?
Yeah.
All right,
Probably didn't have anything else to say. You just wanted to go with terrific.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, okay. Well, I mean,
I thought you were
pretty.
gonna add something else to it.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
No, you're fine.
No. I can add on to it
No,
because
you're fine.
I can add on to it.
That's why I was waiting. I
Um,
was like, oh, I think he's gonna say something
Um,
else about it. No, you're fine. No, you're good. I just okay. That's
So
the
gravel
one.
donuts, and I do recommend these cans do occasionally like to drop clear is what brewers say. So there'll be sediment in the bottom of the can. It's totally fine. If you pour it that way, you can also roll them. It's typically not chunky material. It's more of stuff you can get back into solution if you roll the can or shake it or whatever. Totally don't have to. You can pour it. It just might be um, not as hazy as it would be if you shook it up. But totally not offensive to me at all. Whatever you guys want to do.
I'm always asking Lucas if I should be rolling
Yeah.
the can for certain things because he's pretty good at recognizing when you should be doing that for. But there was a term you just said that you guys, is it called drop clear? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so and it's kind of a newish term because of these beers, hazy IPAs and New England IPAs, whatever you want to call them. But I mean, typically a beer that drops clear is a good thing, right? Because typically you want clear-ish beer. But with these, you actually one of the big challenges is to keep them hazy. And funny enough, we had it figured out, and then we changed our yeast practices for this beer, and it made the beer better, we think, sensory wise, but it actually hurt the colloidal stability or the haze stability, right? So it's not as hazy as long in a can as it used to be. But simple trick is just to flip the can over for about 5 or 6 seconds, and then flip it back over, and then pour it in your pint glass, and should be pretty good. But again, it doesn't really affect the flavor in my opinion. It's more of a visual thing. So again, I'm not all that offended if whatever you guys do. There are plenty of breweries out there now that are saying to actually like store them upside down in your fridge.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a lot of like hype breweries that are saying to put them upside down in your fridge so that it forces you to upright them so that all that stuff actually goes back into solution. So that when you pour it into a glass, it is doing that stuff. But whatever, we haven't noticed anything sensory wise, so it's kind of one of those, if you were blindfolded, you wouldn't be able to tell a difference. But of course, we consume with our eyes as well, right?
Yeah, I've recently been getting really into these New England IPAs. I've been trying a lot of them. I've been really getting into them, so I'm excited for this one. I'm gonna read the side here. It says it's a juicy flavors including pineapple, citrus, and blueberry. All the hops, none of the bite. And I do have a question on the can here. It looks printed. It says Patrick Hazy, 16 November 2020. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's something like that's sensitive, or I don't know if that's like a shout out to something. I
Oh
do
no,
apologize.
we have a date coder, so we just like to have fun, and it
Oh,
can print two
okay.
lines. So instead of just printing the date, we also like to put out other things.
You do
So
have that.
um,
Awesome. I've actually been checking the bottom of
That's
the cans for all those because on the
Nate's
yeah,
first
favorite thing
podcast,
about
Lucas
craft beer.
introduced me to the fact that
yeah,
some craft brewers like to put funny stuff on the bottom. So okay, I gotcha.
yeah. Our printer's on the label and not on the can. So
Gotcha.
so yeah, we sometimes we're either hungover or lazy and just put the date, but other times we uh, feel like, especially for our filtered lagers, we have a lot of fun with those. Our Glasstown Pit Stop because they're crispy boys or whatever, and uh, so we have fun labeling those. But
I just poured mine here, and I'm very excited to say this. This is probably the cleanest New England that I've seen. Like it does cloud the glass a little bit, but it still looks very light. I know my camera is not showing that at all, but
Okay. So your camera makes it look very dark,
mine
but yeah,
makes
I'll
it look
mine up
very
here.
dark.
I smell just pure pineapple in the smell. Good.
yeah, and so
And,
this has been a core beer that we were committed to from day one. I think it's even in our business plan actually. Maybe not the beer name itself, but
Mhm.
as a style. And I had a boss. I worked at a brewery in Vermont for a while, and it was kind of right when these were really taking off, and Vermont was one of the epicenters, right? It was kind of Vermont and Massachusetts that really kind of led the charge on these styles. And um, the brewery I was working at didn't make these at the time, and I kind of brought it to a couple people's attention, and kind of got shut down. And I think his words were more or less, I think it's just a fad. And he's still around in the industry, and he's very successful, has a long career and lots of accolades and stuff. But it's just kind of like, it, that kind of goes on with everything we do, is like, no, nothing's a phase, right? I mean, everything is here for a reason. And if you don't attempt these things, and if you don't try to be a challenger, like, you're gonna get the doors blown off you, right? Everyone's
Mhm.
moving and around you, and if you don't try to keep up, it's not going to work. So, and that kind of goes to what I was saying about, we had the hay stability figured out, then we made some changes. So I mean, we had a beer that was perfectly good, and we were happy with it, and then we switched some things, and then we were even happier with the flavor. But then, of course, that hay stability would kind of suffered, and so we're still kind of messing with it, just like we are everything else. And I mean, that's just kind of who we are. Like, we don't want to stop making things better, right? I mean, it's so easy to get to a point where it's just like, oh yeah, this is our recipe, and this is the end. It's just a phase, it'll go away sort of attitude. And um, I hope, if you guys have me on a year from now or 2 years from now, I hope we can have the same beers and they're even better than they were this time. Because I want to keep making them better.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I would love to have you you back on, and that would be awesome to do that comparison of the two.
So crazy you would have a mindset like that of not wanting to move forward with new fads and new things.
It is shockingly common.
Hmm.
And I'm not like throwing shade. I'm not gonna call anyone
No.
out, but like, it's just it's kind of one of those industries that's so many breweries were like hand built almost, like, maybe not the actual vessels, but like everything else, right? I mean,
Mhm.
like,
Hmm.
I know so many breweries that have like installed their own trench drains, or plumbed their own chilled water system, or like, oh, the architect said they could use for 100 grand, and they realized the parts were 5 grand, and they just did it themselves or whatever, and like, and it's so cool because like, the whole industry is full of builders, right? But it's also like full of people that build something, and they're like, all right, that worked, and then they just kind of stop, right? And I'm way too competitive to be able to do that, right? Because I see, everyone's coming with new beers all the time, right? And
Hmm.
everyone's hoping the next beer they come out with is going to be what Kroger orders a bajillion cases of next year, right? I mean, that's what everyone's hoping for, right? And so it's
Yeah.
like, well, guess what? Kroger's not ordering that from us right now, so we got to keep making stuff or keep making it better, right? And that's
Mhm.
that's kind of how we are. But yeah, I mean, there's a ton of guys that, I mean, I worked at a brewery that hadn't changed a recipe in like 9 years or something, like, um Yeah, I mean, like,
Wish
dude, the
them luck.
recipes were so old that like occasionally they had to get like copied from an original sheet because the recipe sheet would get like covered in beer or wort or like whatever else, or like fruit flies would get stuck to it or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it was one of those places, right? And it
They
was
have
like,
the secret recipe they keep locked in a vault. And
yeah, kind of, dude, seriously though, like, I mean, they were, I mean, yeah, I mean, some of those places are
wow.
older than like Excel. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, um, yeah. So I mean, yeah. Unfortunately, it's something I don't like about this industry. I love this industry, but I don't like that whole attitude sometimes of, oh, this works, so we just keep doing it. It's like, you know, I just often wonder how much better the whole industry could be, how much better all of beer could be if we all just kind of kept pushing each other a little bit harder. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, being on the outside of all of it, like that's the one big thing I associate with craft brewery is that they're always changing. They always have a huge variety of things. Things are constantly moving. So that is surprising to hear that there's some people out there that just don't do that. So
well, but that's kind of
interesting.
a new phenomenon too, right? That's kind of new in the last 3 or 4 years, I would say. Like certainly 10 years ago, there were a lot of breweries that had like 6 beers,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then a seasonal, and that was all they ever made was like, different colored beers with more or less IBUs, and then 4 seasonals that rotated on a quarter or something like that, right? And maybe a pumpkin ale or something. Um,
The hop
and
wars of the early 2000s.
yeah, and then I mean that was kind of one of the big things that pushed it. I think was how many IBUs can you put into it, right? And I think that was actually good for the industry as much as I hated a lot of those beers, because it got people out of that. It got breweries and people thinking about like, how else can I make this, right? And that wasn't a thing. Like in the early 2000s, no one was making anything all that revolutionary or cool. It was all like oh, we can make a 6.7% IPA this time instead of a 6.8, or whatever. It was like these little tiny baby steps, and then
Yeah.
yeah, like Green Flash and Stone,
Hmm.
and a few others just kind of started going nuts. McKellar,
Oh
like
yeah,
those
yeah,
guys just
yeah.
started absolutely just um like, no, I could put 1,000 IBUs in this beer or whatever. And it was just like they couldn't, right? I mean, that ended up being impossible. But I think that was good because I think it led to New England IPAs, and I think it led to the crazy infusions and double dry hops and all this other stuff that we're all doing now.
Well, I appreciate it happened because there's a lot of really
Oh
cool
yeah,
beers out there.
definitely, definitely.
So when are you coming out with your double fruited sour IPA?
So we actually have a so we've done so you guys have gravel donuts, which are our base core New England IPA, right? We've done versions of this. We've done a double dry hop version that was all mosaic. This has mosaic in it, but it was a double dry hop all mosaic. And we've done a couple different fruited versions. We've done a raspberry version, which is basically the same recipe, kind of changed the hops a little bit to be a little bit less piney, so kind of worked with the raspberry better. So we've done stuff like that. We've made the purple drink. Like
Uh-huh.
we've done that. And so yeah, I mean we're kind of looking at how we can do all that stuff and fit into our production schedule. We do a rotating fruited kettle sour, a Berliner, and some of those are our summer one, for instance, is blueberry lemon, so it's kind of like
Ooh,
a blueberry lemonade, and it's like blue, like it's like purple blue.
Yeah.
that is something I'm
So
gonna have
that
to
one's
pick
kind of
up.
fun. Um, and then yeah, I mean, we recently tried some Kool-Aid infusions, which was a blast. We ended up with like literally like purple, like grape purple drink. It was kind of fun. And then yeah, I mean, I think one of our new products for 2021 is going to be a fruited sour IPA, that I'm sure will be some color. Probably some sort of red or purple or whatever. So yeah, I mean, we definitely do that stuff, but um, uh, yeah, it's hard to sell volume of that, it's hard to sell those beers twice. Frankly, like a lot of those people that are a lot of those brewers that are chasing those slushies or whatever, those crazy styles. I get them. Like I enjoy drinking them, but people don't seem to consumers don't seem to be buying those more than 2 or 3 times, right?
Right.
And so it
Some of
makes
the
it hard.
biggest problem is sometimes they're just too thick sometimes, and
Oh,
they're just
definitely.
more like a
Yeah.
one-time thing. Like, yeah, I just wanted this for dessert or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we want to dive into this one here.
Yes.
I'm really
Yes.
excited for it. I like that.
Yeah, that is.
I really like that aftertaste. I really like that
Same here.
aftertaste.
Yeah.
Mm.
It is juicy. But yeah. It's man, I am having a terrible time today trying to string words
Show time
together.
with words.
Yeah.
Don't word good. It's okay. It happens.
No, but this is definitely juicy. Are you getting the blueberry?
Give me a second here. I was actually just trying to see if I could get it. I definitely get the smell of the pineapple and a little bit of initial pineapple, but
I'm getting that strong citrus right off the bat with just blends perfectly into that hop finish at the end.
So
Yeah,
if you don't get
I'm
like
getting blueberry.
outright blueberry, like the actual blueberry aroma,
Right.
think of like, and I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but really dank weed that's like so beyond like that scale that it's like becomes fruity, and see if you get any of that because so there's a lot of mosaic in this, and that's a hop that people either, in my experience, people either pick up weed or blueberry, and like I would say 85% of the people, and if you rub mosaic hops and get someone to smell that, I would say 85% of the people that I've dealt with have either say immediately blueberry or weed. So that's kind of we didn't want to say dank ass weed on the label, so we said blueberry instead.
Yeah, I'm not getting the dank from it. Are you, Nate?
I'm actually starting to get a little bit more of the blueberry. Again, I don't know if it's just one of those mind tricks that sometimes the beer just plays on me. Can tells me it's in there, so it's there. But I don't know. I'm really enjoying this. I'm really liking this.
Are you a haze boy now?
I'm yeah. I think as of like several weeks ago, I'm pretty much, or I guess since November, I guess I'm a hazy boy now. Is that the term? Yeah. I just remember my mind being blown when I found out that New England IPAs are called hazy.
I'm very glad that this isn't like straight citrus where all you're drinking is like basically an orange juice beer.
Yes.
This
not
is
like a huge
it is
orange peel.
This is well balanced, very well balanced. And I usually honestly, this might be the very first time I've had a New England in December. I usually save my New Englands or get a lot of the New Englands during the warmer months. But this is quite pleasant. And this is what is the ABV on this? Because it is 6.5. Yeah,
6.5?
This is a porch rocker, honestly, for me. Just something that I would sip on and enjoy.
I could enjoy a lot of these at a brewery, honestly. I could have a pretty good night with these. I'm curious. The name of it, Gravel Donuts. What? I don't know. I'm sorry if I missed the explanation of that.
Yeah,
Is
no,
there
you're
a reason?
fine. Yeah, so we're kind of embracing that we're in a little bit of a more rural part of Ohio, right? I mean, where our
Okay.
location is, and so it's kind of having fun with I don't know. Coming with beer names is really difficult, right? But it's kind of a way of what does every kid do when he or she gets their first pickup truck, right? They go out and find a gravel parking lot and light them up, right? And so that's kind of like, most of us did that, and so it's kind of um, harkening back to our 16-year-old selves and kind of having fun, and then it led to really interesting artwork and something we've just kind of embraced. So there's no donuts in it, and I realized, uh,
Do you get that a lot?
we have confused some people of yeah, is it a donut IPA? And it's like, no, it's not really what we meant, but I get that. It's more of a the hazy beer being maybe a cloud of dust or something after you did a bunch of donuts in
I buy that.
uh
I like that.
the dirt lot somewhere.
I like the guys have all stuck to your theme of the outer belt so far, so I like that. Um, yeah, Lucas, you wanna go for a rating on this? You wanna
Oh,
sip a bit
tea.
more?
Hands down, tea.
Tea?
It
Yeah,
is it is
yeah.
citrusy. It is pleasant. Uh it's not too harsh with any of the flavors. Uh I mean it's not a juice bomb, and don't get me wrong, I love juice bombs, but it's nice to have a New England IPA that's really well balanced and it doesn't feel like I'm drinking an orange juice beer. And this is definitely
Nice.
something that I put in that category where it's a New England, and like some of the New Englands that I drink are fairly up there. Like I've had some that are in the 7 or 8%, and especially I grew up in New York, and like all the breweries in New York, like everybody's got their own type of New England. Everybody's got their own juicy IPA out there. But this is excellent. Like I'd put it up to bat against any any of the beers from like an East Coast brewery.
Yeah, I think this definitely makes it in my top 5 of the hazy beers. I definitely agree. It's smooth, no, not really strong with the orange peel taste to it. Aftertaste is really good. Honestly, I could smash a bunch of these in one sitting. And they're 6.5, so it's gonna be a good night. Um, yeah, I'm going with the tea. I'm agreeing with tea as well. It's high up there for my list of the hazies. It's good. I really like it. Honestly, I wish I had more now.
All right, and with that, are you?
Awesome, thanks guys.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Are you ready to move on to the last beer of the night?
All right, so our next beer is called. Hold on one
Oh
sec.
man, you almost got there.
Oh, Schneepflug? Schneepflug?
Schneepflug, yeah, you're really close.
Schneepflug.
Yeah,
Flug.
yeah.
Oh, German. Okay.
Here on
Yep.
the Pint Pals
Ooh, okay.
podcast, we have a history of pronouncing German words wrong.
Oh man. So Schneepflug is a German for snowplow, is a dark winter lager brewed with cinnamon and honey to create a liquid version of a holiday cookie. Just
Yeah, so I mean, this is uh, really at its heart, it's a traditional German Bock, and we on the hot side threw a bunch of honey and cinnamon in it, and kind of let it rip. So I mean, it's kind of a nice kind of amber brown, somewhere in there color, uh, lagered like uh, all of our other lagers. So they sit in a tank for quite a while, um, and yeah, this is a fairly mild in terms of spice compared to like a Christmas ale or something like that, but certainly trying to fill that gap. I just some of the overly spiced Christmas or winter warmers are just um, they're tough to drink a lot of, right? I know everyone loves Great Lakes Christmas Ale, but it's also like you need 6 people to drink a 6 pack sometimes, I feel like. And yeah, so we're trying to, come up with something that's a bit more quaffable, maybe, consumable, and still be kind of playful in that realm.
Dive into it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I had this one
Okay, if you had your
when I went to go pick up the beer. I had this one already, and
Do you have a chilled glass right now?
no. It looks like it though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's
this
like
is the
you're going above and beyond here.
this is the glass from Iced Ears.
You got a nice head on yours.
I will say this about this beer. This has made it into the top 5 of my favorite holiday beers, and I decided that on Wednesday when I picked them up.
You decided that without trying it, or did you try some
What?
already?
No, I tried this. I had this at the brewery.
Oh, you had it at the brewery. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, wow. One sip decided it all.
No, that is excellent, and this is something that I have said on almost um every episode of the Pine Pals podcast. That the true testament of a good brewer is their ability to really knock out the lagers and the pilsners and what I call simple beers, but I don't mean it in a negative way at all. But this lager is excellent, and I highly recommend anybody out there who is looking for a good holiday ale that I'm sorry, a good holiday beer that's not too overwhelming and doesn't make it feel like you're licking a Christmas tree. I highly recommend this one.
You're right. I definitely don't feel like I'm licking a Christmas tree. I do want to ask side question from this. Dan, what is the craziest beer you've ever thought of making? So like, I mean, essentially like odd ingredients or like just like out above and beyond like what normally you would expect in a beer.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we do kind of. I guess I'll answer this in 2 parts. So, we do eventually want to install a cool ship in our brewery. We do have some um, uh, sour ales aging or fermenting in some degree in oak barrels um, in our facility. So we do want to do get into that spontaneous ferment stuff, kind of a la um, the traditional Belgian sour producers. They're kind of becoming more common and kind of the niche um, kind of boutique breweries, and we would love to get one to kind of mess around with. So they are kind of a weird thing because you don't actually add your own yeast and that sort of thing. You kind of let nature do its work. But
Are sours typically the playground of things, like just a bunch of
for
different
brewers,
flavors?
they can be for sure.
Yeah.
And part of it is so much of it is out of our control. It's kind of backwards of what we normally do. So it's um, for those types of beers, we um, have way less control of what's happening. They're not temperature controlled. They're not in vessels that are even really sealed, right? I mean, they hold liquid, but like certainly air can permeate and um, kind of interact with what's happening. Um, yeah, so I mean, we've started kind of a relatively meager program for our scale, but we've started that program and have enjoyed the beers that we have gotten out of those so far. But yeah, it's kind of wild because you just kind of don't touch it, and you just kind of it's kind of like the meme of like the like kicking it. It's like, all right, do something, please give me beer in like a year, because they do take quite a while. But um, in terms of like weird beers, we've looked at like brewing with like candy, like getting like a bunch of like, um, like pick your favorite chocolate bar sort of thing. Um, we've looked at doing a Nilla wafers stout. That kind of like how on earth do we add this? Um, yeah, we looked at. Have you guys heard of Big Ass Money Stout?
Yes,
Yeah, we looked at doing something like that, but maybe not frozen pizza, but something along those lines. So
Nate, I told you
yeah, it's a
about this
Wait,
beer.
stout.
did you really?
Yeah, it's the
Frozen
17
pizza
percenter
stuff?
from Evil Twin Brewing, and it's the stout that's been
Oh
made with
yes,
frozen pizza and freshly printed Norwegian money.
Yeah, yeah.
that's right. You did tell me that.
It's really good too, actually. I think for having, I don't know how much frozen pizza's got in it, um,
When I had it,
but
I thought it just tasted like a regular stout. I didn't
yeah,
taste
and
any.
I don't think there's that much money in it either.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I don't know. I mean, certainly staying inside the realm of like normal consumables, like we kind of maybe peruse the sweets aisles at Kroger or something like that every now and then, and kind of try to get some what do we do with the next crazy idea or something. But no, I don't know. I mean, again, like our ethos is very much like we have fun and do some of those beers every now and then, but we
Mm.
definitely majority of our time and effort is spent on how do we make our normal beers as good as we possibly
Mhm.
can.
Yeah, and I understand. Like, I mean, I never realized how long of a process it was to make beer until this podcast, and I started learning more about it. So I can understand that. Yeah, I mean, you said sours up to a year is what?
Our first like real, so we have like our kettle sours, which are like 2 day shipping is and gas money or goza are the two the biggest ones that are those are a normal um kind of ale ferment in a lot of ways. There's some extra um steps early in the process, but it's still like a 3 week beer.
Mm.
But yeah, those wood aged like oak fermented sours, they um, they rely so heavily on fermentation steps, from fairly slow moving microbes, that yeah, I mean the traditional Belgian method for like goose, for instance, is a blend of a 3 year, 2 year, 1 year, and then you let them sit in a bottle for 6 months to carbonate. So I mean you're talking 3.5 years minimum. Um, so our first package was spent time in barrels for 22 months, and then we packaged it and then let it sit in a bottle for I think 3 before we released it. So yeah, I mean it's that's not short, and that's why I think it wasn't really part of the American craft beer boom, because it's a hell of a lot easier to brew IPA and buy more tanks, and brew IPA and buy more tanks, and
Mm.
kind of the money machine goes burr and you make IPA, right? And that's kind of how our American craft market kind of took off.
Are you a fan of Belgian ales?
I am. They're they're super difficult to make well, in my opinion. There's not very much literature on them from the traditional guys. If it's intentional or not, I'm not sure, but um, uh, e- every major brewery in Belgium has their own proprietary yeast, and part of what makes that yeast work in their facility is uh, weird nuance stuff. So some of those facilities have uh, weird shaped tanks that were built custom for them at some point in their history, and that we can't replicate ever. That's kind of a problem. There's beers like Orval that I absolutely adore. I love Orval, but we can never replicate that because they package it with a second yeast, but it's a wild yeast, um, and so that's what carbonates that beer, and it's not really something a normal brewery could feasibly bring into their production system. It's so like custom made for them, which is kind of how the Belgian brewers kind of operate. It's like we want to do something for us that no one else can do, and it's all the traditional brewers there are kind of like that. So I find it kind of frustrating to try to make Belgian ales like professionally. I find it frustrating because um, it's impossible to replicate it well, right? Versus I'm really proud of our lagers. I think they're great. I think they're our Pilsner and our Helles, our pale lager, are great. And I'm super proud of our process and how we lager traditionally, and that's something that's something a lot of breweries can learn how to do and can do well, and versus if you brew with saison de pont yeast, you just cross your fingers and hope it finishes fermenting, because sometimes it won't. And that's like, I mean, that's pretty much just where it's at, but yeah, I do love saison de pont, especially. I just said it's one of my favorites. Orval is great. Yeah, I enjoy them. The market for them is very, very small, and they're very difficult to make, so I've kind of shied away from them.
All right, and I think with that, Nate, are you ready to give this? Oh, geez, I don't even want
Yeah.
to try to pronounce this.
Schneepflug. You can say snowplow if you want.
Schneepflug.
Snowplow.
I gotta write that down right now. There you go.
Yeah,
I know that's not
I
spelled
think I am.
correct, but that's how I'm gonna say the pronunciation for me. So, what are you gonna?
So first off, I haven't had a lot of Christmas ales. And we've talked about this in the past. I'm gonna go with a very man. I'm like right on the border of S&T right now, because I do like the fact that the spices are not overwhelming. It's very mellow. It's easy to drink. And you get the aspect of the Christmas ale. I don't know. Go with yours first, because I honestly.
Well, that's right. Dan, I'm not gonna be like Nate and tell you I hate your beers by any means.
What? All right, I'm out. Have a good time.
No, I'm just kidding. This for me is to be complete. I've had a lot of beer. I've worked on the retail side of things in the craft beer world for about probably close to 4 years now, and just all the beers that I've tried. I've done seasonal tastings. I've done the place I used to work at. We used to do a beer tasting every week. This beer has made it into the top 5 for my holiday ales. It's not overwhelming. It's easy to drink, but I do get that cinnamon a little bit, which I do like. So the spices are there, but it's not overwhelming by any means. Like Great Lakes Christmas Ale, like you brought up. I don't get me wrong. Great Lakes, I'm a big fan of their stuff. They make some pretty good beers, but when it comes to their Christmas ale, I can have one or two, and I'm good to call it quits on that year. But this is excellent, and I look forward to having this next Christmas as well. So, thank you very much, Dan. I am a big fan of this.
So did you go with a T?
Yeah, I'm going with a T. I don't know if I said that, but
you didn't. But it was pretty much.
It was heavily implied.
It was heavily implied.
This is a T for me.
Man, I'm gonna go with the T as well. Just thinking about the other ones that I've had. This by far is the one I like the most. I'm not like you. I haven't had a wide variety of Christmas ales, and when I have, I usually don't remember them.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one that I'm enjoying right now. I've been sipping on it casually this whole time we've been talking. I've been enjoying every sip. So yeah, I'll go with a T. I'm gonna go with the tea for it as well. Well, do you want to do our beers of the night?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so just a reminder, so our beers of the night don't necessarily go with any of the ratings that we gave tonight, but out of the 4 beers we had tonight, we're going to rate them um, in the order that we think that they were from least to greatest. We usually start with number 4 being not obviously not the worst, but out of the 4, the last one. So, what would be your number 4 for this?
So my number 4, and again, Dan, I'm a big fan of everything that we have tried this evening, and I look forward to trying more from you and Outerbelt Brewing. My least favorite beer of the night, but still highly recommend, is the Gravel Donuts New England IPA. This beer did check all the boxes for me for New England. It wasn't overwhelming by any means of the word to make me feel like I was drinking orange juice beer. This is something that I'm going to put into my rotation when it's 90-degree days again in the middle of July and August and September even. So, but I am a big fan of that. Nate, what's your number 4 on the night?
In 1 sec, I'm retrying one here. I wanted to, man, I don't know. I'm gonna go with the Route 33. I think just for me, it was just a little. I'm not the biggest fan of just dry beers, but it wasn't like overly dry. So I don't know. I think the other ones just are stand out much more to me. So again, not necessarily terrible, just compared to the others. I think Route 33 is my number 4. What about third?
Third for me would be Route 33 Pale Ale. And the only reason that it is number 3 is because basically just I fell in love with the other 2 beers. So
I'm in that same boat.
Yeah. This was a fantastic pale ale. Really, I think it fit the definition of a pale ale pretty well. So, for you, Nate?
Yeah, third for me would be the winter lager, snowplow lager. No, hold on, I'm gonna get this. The Schneepflug.
There you go, nailed it.
I think definitely in all my Christmas ales, this one is definitely on the top. That's honestly, that's I'm gonna say about that. I enjoyed it. It was really good. It was a good sipping beer. I could enjoy it casually. Yeah. What about second?
My number 2 for me would be the. This just gives it away because I can't pronounce it. The Schneepflug. Did I say it right?
Yeah, you both got it.
Look at us! Look at us! We're learning, and we are using the
Learning that German.
we're using our Prost system.
Yeah.
The Schneepflug is my number 2 on the night, mainly because this is just you were shooting for a Bock beer, right? Or basing it off of a Bock beer?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, and this is, I mean that's what it is. It's not overwhelming by any means when it comes to the spices at all. I do get a little bit of the spices on the end, but this holiday beer has made its way into my top 5 holiday beers, and it doesn't make me feel like I'm licking a Christmas tree. So and by that I don't mean the pine flavor. I mean just like the cinnamon, the nutmeg, the just all the spices that can overwhelm the palate, I'll say. And this is something that I could have multiple of on one night, and especially dealing with family during the holiday season, this is something that I'd be able to have one or more of, and just play that family drinking game that I have in my head whenever one of my relatives says something that I just don't agree with. I just go, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. Know
Gotta
what
get to
you
the
mean.
family. Gotta get to the family holidays. Hmm.
What's your number two, Nate?
This is tricky. This is really tricky. This is the first time I've ever really struggled with trying to figure out my number one and number two. It's obviously it's between the coffee and between the hazy.
Mm-hmm.
I've been kind of sipping on them here to try to figure it out. I'm gonna go with the coffee.
For your number two?
Yeah, I got coffee is my number two. I mean, I just honestly 1 and 2 are both just it's really difficult for me to distinguish. I'm also gonna say my number one is the hazy, I'm gonna get it right, the gravel donuts in New England IPA. I'm struggling with them. I really enjoy them both. I enjoyed the coffee, like just the straight coffee, no real strong alcohol sense there, just coffee as it is. From the coffee brown ale, and then the hazy was really good, not strong in the orange peel taste that I tend to get from most of them. And the aftertaste is really good from it. So although I feel like they're both equal to each other, I'm gonna say one will be my New England IPA. So then one for you would be
number one for me, and next week's episode we will be covering why your number one should have been the the morning commute coffee brown ale.
You're wrong.
We'll spend an hour and a half talking about why Nate was wrong about his number one beer. No, I get what you're saying, but I don't know, this coffee brown ale really did it for me. There was one coffee brown ale that I had, and I'm not going to mention the brewery, but it was like the I'm never drinking brown ales again type thing. But I have slowly gotten back into brown ales, but this right here was just coffee, very easy drinking. And it just finished with that light sweetness, which I enjoyed very, very much. And now that is it okay to say that that you got picked up by a distributor?
Oh yeah. We signed with Premium Beverage Supply this week, so we'll be getting all this stuff will be a lot easier for most consumers in Central Ohio for sure.
Yeah, and if this hits distribution, I know I'll be picking up 4 packs of this up to keep in my fridge. So this is hands down my number one beer of the night.
All right, so yeah, so do we want to do just a quick cheers for the night?
Yeah, definitely. Let's go into the cheers of the night. So Dan, at the end of every episode, we do just a small cheers section where we toast different people who made this episode possible. And for me, since I did the smart thing and I saved my favorite beer, the morning commute.
Here, so
I tried to save as much of that as possible for the end. The first cheers of the night, I would like to dedicate to you, Dan, for just a thank you for coming on and talking about your beers with us and talking about your brewery and how how you do things over there and hooking us up with a 4-pack. I really do appreciate that. So this one's for you, Dan.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. Of course.
And then as usual, just a cheers out to all of our listeners. So anybody that's listening on Spotify, anyone listening on YouTube, watching on YouTube, and I think eventually we haven't quite switched out to Apple yet, or have we?
It is.
Nope.
I
In the works.
Not yet.
In
It
the
is
works.
in the works. I will say that.
Neither of us own an Apple phone, but eventually. Eventually after the Apple market. But we thank you all. You've all been really supportive. It's been awesome. Really enjoyed it. So to you, cheers.
Do you have any more cheers, Nate? Because I got one more.
I have no more, so it's all on you.
All right. My last cheers of the night. Going to Columbus's own Columbus Crew FC for getting past the Eastern Conference Finals and playing Seattle on Saturday. And if this episode, if I'm able to get this out before Saturday, best of luck to you. But if not, it was definitely a fun game to watch because I know it's going to be a good game. So here's to you, Crew.
And it'll be a win, right? It'll be a win, right?
Hopefully.
It'll be a win. All right, we appreciate everybody. Thank you so much for listening tonight. And again, huge thanks to Dan from the Outerbelt Brewing. We hope to see you all in our next podcast.
Yeah, and definitely consider picking up a 4-pack or more of Outerbelt Brewing's beer next time that you're out craft beer shopping, or if you're in their neck of the woods, definitely stop by. I highly recommend. I was there to pick up beer on Wednesday, and their tap room is excellent, and they're following all the guidelines for the current pandemic situation which we are going through. So thank you very much, listeners, and we'll catch you next week.
Hey everyone, thank you for checking out this week's episode of the Pint Pals podcast. If you want to support the podcast in other ways, be sure to check out our Patreon at www.patreon.com/pintpals. If you choose to subscribe monthly, you can receive access to special videos, private Snapchats, discounted merch, as well as being toasted during each episode. And as always, subscribing to our Patreon is always appreciated but never expected. Thank you. We'll see you in the next episode.